Hello. Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. It's me, Dr. Goldie. I am your health and wellness expert and double board certified obesity medicine physician, the founder of Illinois Wellness and Weight Loss Centers in Chicago. And I help people just like you who are struggling with your weight to manage your weight by embracing wellness. That's what I do, and I'm here to discuss diabetes today. So, November, as you may or may not know, is National Diabetes Awareness Month, and this is something I love, love, love bringing awareness to because I have been affected by type 2 diabetes. Both my parents suffered from type 2 diabetes, and I lost my dad to diabetes complications. So, my father was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and he did not take it seriously. He did not take it seriously. Did not change his lifestyle. He suffered from obesity, heart disease, and he had all the complications of type 2 diabetes, which included coronary artery disease, amputations, kidney failure and dialysis, and finally, my dad suffered a heart attack in the dialysis center. So, as you can imagine, for me, this was devastating. It was devastating to me. And my mom also suffered from diabetes. And so I always had in the back of my mind that, you know what, it could happen to me. But let me tell you when it got real. It got real for me when I went for a routine life insurance physical, just a routine physical, a routine checkup. And my studies revealed that I had pre-diabetes. So when I got that news, I was like, man, this is real to me, right? Let me tell you, at this time in my life, I weighed approximately 130 pounds. My weight has pretty much been normal. I mean, I had some times as an adolescent where I was on the chunky side, as an adolescent, but my highest weight was probably when I had my children. I have three children, and each time that I got pregnant, I gained about 30 pounds each time. Each time, 30 pounds, but between each pregnancy, I lost the weight. So I was an avid exerciser. I still am. Man, I was running, swimming, biking. I did my first triathlon, I think after the birth of my third child. So I was a pretty active person. And so I didn't have the struggles of weight, but you know what? I had genetic risk factors. And that's what I need you guys to know. Although diabetes can be increased when you suffer from overweight and obesity, it is absolutely not necessary for the diagnosis of diabetes. It's just one risk factor. Other risk factors include your genetic risk, it includes your lifestyle behaviors and the type of nutrition that you indulge in. Stress is a risk factor for diabetes. Did you know that? Did you know that not getting enough sleep and being under a lot of stress could increase your risk for diabetes? Did you know that being African American, being a Pacific Islander, an American Indian, did you know that that increases your risk of diabetes? Did you know that being over the age of 40 increases your risk of diabetes? These are all things that can increase your risk. So it is so crucial. It is so important that you know if you're at risk. So just having that test showed me that I was at risk for diabetes. So I had to change my lifestyle. I had to change the way I ate. I had to change my approach to what I was eating. Okay. I had to change my approach to my lifestyle. I had to lower stress levels. I had to get more sleep. I had to do all of the things to really help me to lower my risk for type 2 diabetes. So you guys, you know what type 2 diabetes is, right? We all know what that is. Previously, it was called adult onset diabetes, but it's called type 2 now because guess what? We're seeing type 2 diabetes in children and adolescents now more than ever. So, about 13% of the US population has type 2 diabetes. And that simply is when your cells that either produce insulin don't quite make enough, or your body is resistant to the amount of insulin that you are producing. So the amount of insulin that you're making is not working the way it should. And so every time you're eating glucose, which we all know glucose is a macronutrient, that is a natural part of energy. It's an energy source that your body needs to survive. So when you have too much glucose circulating in your blood cells, I'm sorry, in your blood cells, in your arteries, as opposed to being in the cells where it can be used because it cannot get from inside the blood into the cells like it needs to, that causes problems. And in general, that might mean that your blood sugars are 200 milligrams per deciliter, which is higher than it should be. So, how does a person get diagnosed with diabetes? You either need fasting blood sugar levels checked, okay? And if your fasting blood sugars are greater than 125 milligrams per deciliter, that's abnormally high. Or you get a study that's called a hemoglobin A1C. And the hemoglobin A1C is a measure of the amount of glucose that lives on the circulating red blood cell. Okay. And if that level is greater than 6.4, your blood sugars over a 3 month period, that suggests that you have type 2 diabetes as well. And the third way you can be diagnosed is to have a glucose tolerance test, where you drink a pretty sweetened beverage that you get from the lab. It has about 100 grams of 100 milligrams of glucose in the drink. And if you drink that, I'm sorry, I think it's 200 grams. My mind is drawing a blank now, but you drink the beverage that's given by the lab, and after 2 hours, your blood sugar is checked. And if your levels are high after getting um, some glucose, then you also can be diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Now, do you know that it is estimated by the year 2050 that 1 in 3 of us will have type 2 diabetes? 1 out of 3. That number is rising every single day. Why? Can you guys guess why? The number is going up and up instead of like stabilizing or going down. It's because of the standard American diet. It's our diet. It's the amount of sugar, specifically processed sugar, that we are eating every single day. The amount of sugar that we're eating every day in the American diet is causing our glucose levels to be too high, and it's putting us at risk for type 2 diabetes. It's eating more French fries, more ice cream, more cake, more cookies, more pizza. The types of food that have added sugar is just ruining not only our waistlines, but it's ruining our lives because it's putting us at risk of diabetes. The types of sugars that are good for us are the ones that are found in nature, right? Romaine lettuce, zucchini, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, that kind of stuff. Plants, natural plants don't give us diabetes. And in fact, studies show that people who eat a more plant based diet lower their chance of diabetes because it tends to help people to lose weight, lower the risk of cardiovascular disease, and it lowers the threshold for insulin resistance. And so people who are vegan and vegetarians tend to have improved blood sugars. I'm not saying you have to do that, to avoid diabetes, but hey, that's something definitely we all need to consider. Diabetes is costing like the United States of America like $300 billion a year in healthcare costs. It costs to be on diabetic medications, right? It costs to have amputations. It costs to need dialysis. All of the treatment for diabetic conditions is costing healthcare billions of dollars a year. And so, what are we going to do as Americans? Like, what are we going to do when one in three of us are at risk? We've got to do something to change our lifestyles. In fact, the CDC says, you know what? We can prevent diabetes if we can catch it early enough. Either we can prevent diabetes or we can delay the diagnosis of diabetes. And I'm telling you, I am trying every day of my life to delay or prevent the diagnosis of diabetes. So, like, how can we do that? How can we do that? What are some of the things we can do? Well, I mentioned one thing. One, we can just embrace a plant-based diet most of the time. That could help lower our glycemic indices. We can reject the standard American diet, eating all the processed foods that we like to eat, all of the fast foods and the junk foods and the bagged goods and the boxed goods. Anything that's processed and preserved, we can reject that and eat more real food, and that'll lower our risk of diabetes. Another thing we got to do, people, is we got to watch our portions. How many times do you go to a restaurant and you're given like 3, 4 portions of foods? I mean, appetizers alone are usually double portions. They're big enough to share. We need to lower our portion sizes. And so we need to make sure that we're eating adequate amounts of protein, that we're eating adequate amounts of healthy, delicious, complex carbohydrates, the veggies, the fruits, right? And then we need to like ditch sugary beverages. And I'm going to tell you, I love Coca-Cola soft drink, right? I love drinking Coca-Cola, but I had to ditch drinking sodas all the time because drinking tons of sodas or juices, a lot of times we think that giving our kids juice is okay because it's not soda, so we give them juicy juice and Hawaiian punch, and we give them all of the other juices. It's still so much juices. Kids need water and they need milk. They don't need sugar because it's all the fiber is removed and tons of sugar is added. Juices, soft drinks, energy drinks, all the things with added sugar is increasing our risk of diabetes, not to mention dental cavities as well. Um, we need to exercise. Like every time I think I'm exercising enough, no, I need to exercise more. CDC says we need to do 150 minutes every single week of exercise. That could be 5 sessions of 30 minutes. It could be, like 2.5 sessions of 1 hour. If you can get 60 minutes of your entire 24-hour day with some movement, that'll lower your risk of diabetes. And then sitting, oh my gosh, sitting all the time, it increases our risk of diabetes because our bodies are not processing or utilizing the sugars that we're eating. So we need to sit less, move more, exercise regularly, ditch processed sugars, eliminate sugary beverages and drinks, keep our weight in check. And like I told you, weight is not the only risk factor. I told you I didn't have an issue with weight. I had family history. So predisposition can come just from having a family history of diabetes. So if diabetes runs in your family, your parents, your grandparents, sisters, brothers, first degree relatives, you need to be tested. you need to be tested because that may increase your risk for diabetes. If you're a woman who suffers from polycystic ovarian syndrome, which promotes insulin resistance, you may be at risk for diabetes. You need to be tested. If you're over the age of 40, you need to be tested. If you're a woman who's been pregnant or you've had children and you suffered from gestational diabetes, your risk of developing type 2 diabetes is increased by like 60%. You need to be tested. So, my question to you is, when was the last time you were tested? And if that's been a while, I encourage you to get tested this month. Get tested this month for type 2 diabetes so that you can not only be aware of your risk factors, you can prevent or treat diabetes. Okay, and so you need to see your primary care providers and get either that glucose tolerance test, that hemoglobin A1C, or fasting blood sugar, and so that you can know whether or not you have type 2 diabetes, whether or not you need to be tested or treated, because an ounce of prevention is definitely worth a pound of cure. And so I want to tell you, we're going to be talking about diabetes all month long. I'm going to invite some diabetic experts, some educators to talk with me about diabetes, and have a great discussion on how we can avoid it. I'm going to invite some nutritional experts to talk about plant-based eating and how that can impact diabetes and decrease our risk factors. And so, if you want to know more, message me. Message me. I'll be happy to talk more with you about diabetes. Like I said, I'm super passionate about preventing diabetes, and I love the whole idea of lifestyle change to help people to improve their numbers, because there's more than one way to treat diabetes sometimes. It may not just be medications that are necessary, but if you incorporate lifestyle change and all the things I told you about, you can beat diabetes. You can add years to your life, and not just years to your life, quality years to your life. So you guys, I'm Dr. Goldie. I'm a women's health expert, double board certified obesity medicine specialist, founder of Illinois Wellness and Weight Loss Centers in Chicago. I'm also a best-selling author and speaker, and I help people just like you who are struggling with your weight to embrace all things wellness to help you get your weight under control. So you can find me on all social media sites. I'm at Ask Dr. Goldie MD on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and I think even TikTok. I'm on the web at askdrgoldiemd.com. I look forward to talking to you guys all month long on how we are going to diagnose, prevent, and treat type 2 diabetes. So have a great night, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.